Welcome back to Cultura Underground and to part 2 of our exploration of the Christmas season in Mexico and the collection of celebrations known as the Marathon Guadalupe-Reyes. If you haven't checked out part 1, please go ahead and give it a watch. In it, we learned how the Day of Our Lady of Guadalupe supplanted winter solstice celebrations of the Aztec goddess and the Divine Mother, Tonantzin, and how the Christmas posadas took advantage of the indigenous reliance on oral histories to merge the December celebration of Huitzilopochtli's birth with the celebration of Jesus' birth, and how the piñata game originated as a means of converting indigenous peoples and teaching Catholic catechisms. In today's video, we'll continue along the Marathon Guadalupe-Reyes, beginning with the Day of the Innocents on December 28th. Just like with part 1, I want to give the disclaimer that this video won't have in-person recordings because I went to visit my family for the holidays and thus am not in Mexico to record. But I'll try to keep it entertaining nonetheless. So as mentioned, following Christmas Day, the next observed day in the Marathon Reyes is December 28th, known as the Day of the Innocents, or Dia de los Inocentes. This is basically the Spanish-speaking world's version of April Fool's Day, which might seem like a strange addition to Christmastime festivities. It is called Day of the Innocents in remembrance of the infant children killed by King Herod to prevent the birth of Jesus. In the 19th century, a custom developed in which one would borrow an item that day and not have to return it. Pranksters would concoct elaborate ruses to get the gullible to lend things on this day, and would then send a small gift in memory of the children killed by King Herod, along with a note saying, "Innocent little dove who allowed yourself to be deceived, knowing that on this day nothing should be lent." Later, this custom turned into a day of pranks in general, with newspapers publishing stories to trick people. Now, I'm honestly still unsure of how this custom honors the infant children murdered by King Herod. Is it equating naively being tricked in a harmless prank with the slaughter of babies by a tyrant? That seems like a bit of a minimalization of an extremely traumatic event, honestly, but let's move on. Next up on the marathon of celebrations is December 31st, New Year's Eve, or La Noche Vieja. Unlike the massive celebrations attended in the rest of the world, with huge crowds assembling to watch a ball drop and customs of kisses at midnight and toasts of champagne, New Year's Eve in Mexico City is a mostly family affair. In addition to making New Year's resolutions, people will do or wear things in hopes to bring forth those traits in the new year. For instance, one might sweep their home that night to encourage cleanliness in the coming year, or bring out suitcases to inspire a year full of travel. Another common tradition is to wear colored underwear for good luck. Red underwear is to bring good luck and love, while yellow underwear brings good luck and money. Around this time, it isn't uncommon to see red and gold underwear sold in stores and outdoor markets called tianguis. On the stroke of midnight, it is customary to eat 12 grapes rapidly, along with the 12 chimes of the clock at midnight. This tradition comes from Spain and is observed in many other Latin American countries as well. Its origins date back over a century, although the exact date and reasons are unclear. Some say it goes back to 1909, when growers of a particularly overabundant crop that year devised the plan as a way to sell off their surplus harvest. Others say it goes back to 1880s Madrid, when bourgeois society began embracing the French custom of drinking champagne on December 31st. And the working-class residents began eating grapes as a mockery of the Madrid elites. Regardless, it's a tradition that continues in Spain and all over the Americas. Finally, the end of the Marathon Guadalupe-Reyes is celebrated on January 6th, the Day of Epiphany, or Three Kings Day, more commonly known as Dia de los Reyes Magos in Spanish. This day celebrates when the three wise men, Gaspar, Melchior, and Balthazar, arrived to visit the baby Jesus bearing gifts of frankincense, gold, and myrrh, And on this day, the three wise men, or Reyes Magos, will finally be added to the nativity scene. Instead of leaving stockings on chimneys, on the night of January 5th, children will put a shoe under the Christmas tree for the Reyes Magos to leave presents in. Leading up to January 6th, children will write letters to the Reyes Magos asking for presents. And although in years past it was tradition to send those letters off by balloon, it's now considered bad for the environment, and now it's more common to leave the note inside of the shoes under the tree. I should add that while the Christmas tree is a popular custom now, that wasn't always the case. Prior to the second half of the 20th century, decorations focused on large-scale nativities rather than Christmas trees and ornaments, but it was later introduced by expat communities and quickly found popularity within the general population. But going back to leaving shoes out. So I asked friends about this because honestly I was a little grossed out by the idea of reaching into a smelly shoe for presents. Like, do you only leave out your nicest unworn shoe for the Reyes Magos, or what gives? They informed me that the presents aren't really put inside the shoe, but more just all around them. Still though, I would be worried about my shoes stinking with this custom. Now, this tradition in Mexico obviously comes from Spanish Catholic influence, but there are many theories as to where this custom originates. One of the most popular theories says the practice actually originated in the 15th century in the Netherlands, when the disadvantaged took their shoes to church on December 5th to be filled with gifts and other donations from the wealthy classes. On December 6th, the day of St. Nicholas, the offerings were then distributed among the poorest families. Indeed, the custom of receiving gifts via shoes is not just limited to Dia de los Reyes Magos. Many European countries that celebrate the day of St. Nicholas also follow this custom. Regardless of origin, nowadays parents tell children that the shoes allow the Reyes Magos to know how many gifts they should leave, and, based on the size and style of the shoe, what type of gift it should be. Although receiving presents from Santa on Christmas Day has gained popularity in recent years, like many Spanish Catholic-influenced countries, January 6th, with its Reyes Magos, is still the bigger day of gift-giving. It's actually a bit of a generation marker. People my age don't remember receiving presents from Santa as a kid, but my students who are younger do. Even so, Santa only brings maybe 1 or 2 presents, like clothing, while the Reyes Magos bring the rest. After opening presents, it is customary to cut and serve a round sweetbread called Rosca de Reyes. The bread is adorned with jewels of dried fruit, candies, and a white sugar icing, and somewhere inside is hidden a tiny baby Jesus figurine. Whoever gets the baby Jesus figurine in their slice must then pay for the tamales traditionally eaten on Candlemas on February 2nd. Despite its association with the 3 wise men of biblical lore, the Rosca de Reyes actually comes from European pagan roots. In Spain, the Rosca de Reyes is called by a slightly different name, the Roscón de Reyes, and is a glazed brioche-style sweetbread covered in nuts and dried fruits, and often includes a whipped sweet cream filling. The ancient Romans prepared a similar style round cake during Saturnalia, the winter solstice festival, and in the 3rd century, celebrants began baking a dry bean into the cake. The lucky person who got the piece with the bean became the king of kings for the day, and everyone treated them like royalty. As Christianity spread, the cake became associated with 3 Kings Day, celebrated 2 weeks following Saturnalia. The first recorded mention of the Roscón de Reyes in Spain dates to the 12th century. Now, if this tradition reminds you of the Mardi Gras king cakes, it's with good reason. Similar recipes were recorded in France during the 12th century, and they became the ancestors of the Mardi Gras king cakes. It didn't become pervasive, though, until the reign of King Philip V of Spain during the early 18th century. He established it as a traditional holiday snack among the monarchy and nobility, and eventually it grew more and more commonplace until the lower classes were eating it on January 6th. It was during this period of popularity that the tradition arrived in colonial Latin America, and therefore Mexico. In Spain, however, both a bean and a baby Jesus are baked into the cake. Whoever finds the bean has to pay for the cake, and whoever finds the baby Jesus is king for the day. I find it rather amusing that in Mexico, this tradition has been combined into just whoever finds the baby Jesus has to pay for the tamales. No kings for the day or rewards here, just buying everyone food. Which brings us to the final day of the season, Candlemas, on February 2nd. Although Candlemas technically falls outside the Marathon Guadalupe-Reyes, I'm including it because it still really is the conclusion to the whole Christmas season here. Many religious families leave out their nativity scenes from December 12th, the day of Our Lady of Guadalupe, all the way to Candlemas on February 2nd. On this day, the baby Jesus figure is taken out of the nativity and brought to church to be blessed, where if he sees his shadow, there will be 6 more weeks of winter. Oh wait, that's another holiday. Candelaria celebrates when Mary brought the newborn baby Jesus to be presented at the Temple of Jerusalem, and it was of particular importance to early modern Catholic Spain, since on February 2nd, around the year 1400, an apparition of the Virgin Mary, known as the Virgin of Candelaria, appeared to the native Guanche people on the island of Tenerife in the Spanish-conquered Canary Islands. The celebrations then spread to Mexico under Spanish colonialism, where the Virgin of Candelaria became a central figure in the town of Tlacotalpan, Veracruz. In Tlacotalpan, the celebrations of Candelaria date back 245 years and extend well beyond February 2nd, lasting all the way from January 27th through February 9th. In the neighborhood of Candelaria, Coyoacan in Mexico City, the Virgin is celebrated with colorful wooden structures adorned with flowers and beautiful carpets of painted sawdust, both handicrafts which can be dated to pre-Hispanic times. But let's go back to those blessings of the baby Jesus in church. So I absolutely love this holiday because of the whole market of variously attired baby Jesuses, or baby Jesi. I don't really know how to make that plural, to be honest. But anyway, you see, before he can be brought to church to be blessed, he must first be properly dressed. And there is an entire street in Mexico City which specializes in making sure that your newborn baby Jesus has got that perfect style. Although the stores on this street exist throughout the year, it's only during the months of December and January that this area officially becomes the Calle del Niño Dios, or Baby Jesus Street. It sounds better in Spanish. Many of the stores have been in the same family for decades. Artisans begin working in October to meet demand, and each has their own signature style. Maybe you want your baby Jesus dressed up as a particular saint, or maybe as a surgeon or doctor to bring good health or protect the medical worker in your life. Or maybe you prefer the Niño protector of children, or the Niño of world peace. Since the pandemic began, the Niño COVID has become particularly popular. But whatever the style, you can find it here with no detail left out. However, all that detail does come at a cost. These outfits can run as high as $50, which is the equivalent of several days' wages for those earning Mexico's meager minimum wage. Whoever finds the miniature baby Jesus in the Rosca de Reyes on January 6th becomes the godparent of the newborn nativity Jesus, and it is their responsibility to then take him to church to be blessed on Candelaria on February 2nd. And godparents treat their nativity niño Dios like real babies too, outfitting them with clothing fit for a newborn, including little footies and hats to make sure that he stays warm in church. After church, the godparents then invite everyone back to their house to eat. And that's where the tamales we mentioned earlier in the video come in. In religious families, the godparents of the Niño Dios host tamales for everyone, although in non-religious families, it is still custom for whoever finds the miniature baby Jesus in the Rosca de Reyes to invite everyone for tamales on February 2nd. Traditional celebrations also include atole, a thick corn-based drink with a milkshake-like consistency. Now, some theories suggest that this tradition of eating corn tamales and drinking the corn-based atole comes from a pre-Hispanic tradition that corresponded with this day. According to documents by the 15th century Spanish friar Bernardino de Sahagún, February 2nd coincided with the 11th day of the first month of the Aztec calendar, which marked the beginning of the agricultural cycle when the Mexica peoples would bring ears of corn to the church to be blessed before sowing their grains. Tamales were also brought when worshipping water gods like Tlaloc and Chalchihuitlicue to ensure a good harvest. Some theories suggest that this tradition then merged with the Catholic celebration of Candelaria, which also celebrated fertility, and thus the eating of corn tamales and the drinking of corn-based atole became associated with February 2nd. But honestly, nobody really knows for sure. All of that is just speculation, and the origin of this tradition still remains very unclear. But while no one can say with certainty when and where it began, with all of the culinary variety of tamales in Mexico, it's certainly a delicious tradition. And with that, our exploration of the Marathon Guadalupe-Reyes and the Christmas season here in Mexico City is concluded. As we've seen, celebrations here are a mixture of European, particularly Spanish, and indigenous Mexican traditions, with a U.S. influence also gaining ground in recent years. And although the origins of many of these traditions date back thousands of years, they continue to adapt to the ever-changing cultural landscape in the metropolis that is Mexico City. With the spread of globalization, Las Posadas morph into secular end-of-the-year parties. Los Reyes Magos share responsibilities with Santa Claus, and children learn the words to We Wish You a Merry Christmas just as well as to Los Peces en el Río. Who knows what changes the future will bring in this ever-evolving city, but for the moment, Christmas time in Mexico City still remains a unique experience unlike any other. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you liked this video, please give us a like and please. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked today's video, please give us a like and subscribe for more content like this.